Welcome to Tom Girl, where we talk all things sports, entertainment, fashion, and adventure. On today's episode, we're talking with a woman who wears many hats: actor, social justice advocate, audiobook narrator, and curator of Ink and Paper Soul. Welcome to the show, Marissa Chanel Hampton.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time. You do so many things, so I'm just really excited to get to this interview because there's so many things I want to talk to you about. Let's first let everybody know kind of about you and your journey from a little girl to getting into acting.
Definitely. Listen, I feel very grateful. My parents were always sort of like, "Listen, if you're interested, let's try it. Let's try it." Whether it was like sports, where I remember I tried cross country and they were like, "You sure?" Very much so. I feel like any parent who has supported a cross country athlete knows, like, you're running with them at some point, it feels like. My father hated that. He was like, this may not be it. But then always from the beginning, I did theater from the jump as a kid. I modeled as a little young girl and then kept doing it my entire life. And when I majored in theater in college, my other major was political science. And I was like, I'm going to law school. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to work in politics. Like, advocacy and care for my community is so important to me. This is what I want to do. And then I went to DC. I interned in the Senate. And then I was like, I very much so think I would like to play one of these people on television.
Not in real life.
Not in real life. so we're just a full reversal. But yeah.
What was
And
like
it's just been
that?
great. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, how was that interning at the Senate?
It was great. I enjoyed my time. I think so much of your understanding of things theoretically versus practical application on its feet and looking at things day after day and looking people in the eye and having conversations with people is so significantly different from, I think this is what I believe. Sure, fine. See it in practice. See the people that it affects. See policy and how it directly affects a community. That was really important to me. And it's still very much so. The experience itself affected how I view everything. And while I was there, I was also at the Smithsonian interning, doing floor programs for theater. And it was such a beautiful double sort of like whammy of getting to see, like, wow, these museums are tax funded, taxpayer funded, and getting to see like young kids get to enjoy the museums, and then getting to do these programs that just like got people from all ages into it, and then directly seeing, these are our museums. These are our museums as Americans. And so it was just such a wonderful experience to be in DC. And I always say it was a very
Mhm.
formative experience.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So then when you decided that, okay, you're going to pursue more of the going on the acting side, what are the steps you took to do that? How did that evolve?
I came back and I was like, all right, I was one of those people who was like, you could have graduated early, but I kept thinking to myself, no, no, get the whole experience. And so I was like, let me just finish out this last bit, these last few classes that I needed to take. And I knew, I was like, we're going to graduate. We're going to LA. We're doing the whole thing. We're going to do the whole song and dance. And I got to LA after going to college and I was like, this is hard. This is very hard.
Mhm.
This is insanely difficult, but also eye-opening, because I feel like so many of us were big fishes in small ponds. You did great, college went well for you. High school was great. Were you the lead of your like high school musical? Good for you. This is Los Angeles. It was
Yeah.
just so incredibly eye-opening, but also at the time I was just meeting so many people who were like balls to the wall, fully like, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. So I never felt like despondent or anything like that, just very much so like, wow, this is so much larger than just a wish and a prayer and here's my resume. So I started doing sketch comedy because someone had mentioned this is crazy, but someone was like, if you go take a sketch comedy class, you'll get a commercial agent. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm a like gold star, very much so one of those high achiever, point A to point B kind of people. I was like, I'll do it. And I went to Second City and I ended up loving it, really, really enjoying it. It was also mildly terrifying, but very,
Mhm.
very enjoyable. And I met great people. And I decided I would do conservatory, got that commercial agent. They were 100% right in that moment. So that worked out, but it was great. I ended up like from conservatory onward, working with those people, whether it was shows elsewhere. One of my very first co-stars someone came and saw one of our shows at UCB,
Oh,
got a job. It was just such a incredible energy that I can barely describe, just because the way so many people were like, hey, let's work together. And it was just so collaborative. And I felt so blessed to get to meet all of those people. And like my favorite thing now to do is to like spot friends in commercials and be like, gotcha. It's just
yep.
like, it was such a blessing. I'm so grateful for that time. It was very important. And I feel like so many people should try improv. Like it's so good for the elasticity of your brain.
Mhm.
It's amazing how once you've like lived that sort of like on your toes, quick, you get very good at sort of just being like, all right, let's roll with it.
Yeah, handle what life throws you.
Yeah.
Talk about, because you said it was terrifying, but yet you stuck with it. And I know a lot of people are super scared of improv, for those reasons. It's like, I
Yeah.
can't come up with that. So talk about, feeling that terrifying feeling, but deciding, you know what, I'm going to stick to this and go through it.
Yeah. I will be 100% honest. I think a lot of people, that fear, I feel it too. Like that is so real. A lot of the second study stuff that sort of had me a little bit on my back foot was pitching sketches. Like, this is my idea. Are you laughing? Is this funny? Am I funny? Like, do you like me? And which got to be so ridiculous because people laugh like you would be, people laugh at weird stuff. Sometimes it's not even what you think is funny. And so much of the like, haha, is it funny yet, was not funny. Just sort of authentically being you and being very, at least for me, my humor is very like observational, is what really sold it for me, or was my biggest success in a show. And I just felt so many times when it was like, oh, I should quit this. I'm not great at this. I'm not perfect. I'm not, no, again, no one's giving me a gold star. Uh, it didn't matter because I would see like where I reaped the rewards elsewhere. And it wasn't always on stage. It wasn't always in a classroom. It wasn't always, but we were sitting around the table sort of trying to write a show. It was very much so in just like the other areas of life that I noticed. Like even in dramatic work, I would see where just like the training was like coming so coming in like just to be so handy for me. So I've been very grateful for that, because it's not something that like if you ask me right now, if you're like, are you putting on a show right now, are you doing some improv right now, the answer is no. But it was such a huge part of what formed me as like both a person and actor. It's just like, if you look in my closet, my Second City like graduation shirt, it's in there. Like
No.
I'm sentimental, it's there.
Yeah, your gold star is right there hanging up
That's
in your
right there. Yeah.
closet.
Yeah. And I feel like as an actor, like I love the people who feel no fear. Good for you. Like, good for you. I personally am terrified. Like, I'll keep it 100. There is not a time where I don't sometimes go, ooh, what is that? Oh, those are nerves.
Mhm.
What's that feeling? And half the battle for me is using those and just sort
Mhm.
of understanding that that's very natural. And I also think it's a sign that you give a crap, to be
Mhm. Mhm.
honest. And that's important to me. So
Do you feel those a lot? Like now are auditioning for a lot of big projects and things. When you go into the room for those auditions, does that come up for you? Or are you able to handle it now?
definitely able to handle it. It's a different sort of feeling. It's funny. I was talking to someone about that feeling and that this exact thing, and it's not a fear of failure exactly. It's just, for me, it's always like, okay, you're telling a story, like these are someone's words, like are you doing justice to that? Am I like giving it what it needs? It's more of sort of not quite failure, not quite sort of like the terror. It's a very sort of unique, like almost amped up, like, all right, you ready to go, you ready to go? And I feel it's in that it's like similar to me in when I did play sports. It feels like that, just sort of
Mhm.
like those like pregame nerves, and then just like once you're in it, you're in it. You
Yeah.
know?
You know
Yeah,
you've done the work. You're ready to go.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of that work because you've worked on some great projects. I mean, like Scandal. I mean, let's talk about some of your projects.
Um, I feel like no one understands. I am always a fan before anything else. So like Scandal was like one of those things where it was my favorite show at the time. So like my entire mind was like, must get on Scandal, must get on Grey's Anatomy. Shonda Rhimes, do you hear me? And it was my first job. And it
Wow.
was one of those experiences where it's like your first job is your favorite television show. I mean, like, thank you, universe. Like, there can
Hmm.
be no other, like, if you want to talk about greatest experience, like, yeah. And it was fun. And it wasn't like, as an actor, there are a few sort of situations where you're like, okay, well, okay, we're going to have a day. Whether that's like big, like, oh, there's a big stunt today, or there's like, by the way, we have a drone on set, or it's a walk and talk. And for me, whenever I have a walk and talk, especially then, because I had not worked on camera, and like this scene is very like walk and talk energy, and like I'm very upset because I'm victim, one of the many victims of this like tragic event. And I just remember being very new and being in LA and just the streets downtown, and we're like back and forth doing this scene. And it was so lovely to just sort of be like, you're living your dream. Like, this is it. This is everything you've ever wanted. And all of the like nerves and the whatever it was to get there was just sort of wiped away by the this is everything you've ever wanted. I
Hmm.
can't, like, you can't ask for anything.
Hmm. Yeah.
I, I feel like now sometimes I'll go to work and I'm like, by the way, I've watched everything you've ever done. Now let's do our work. Like, I like being a fan is what makes this all
Yeah.
fun. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. You love what you do. So tell everybody about some of your other projects.
definitely. Like one of the best parts of coming to Atlanta is getting to see sort of everything that gets made down here. And I always say LA made me, but Atlanta embraced me and has given me so many cool opportunities. Again, like I'm a horror fan. You're gonna hear me say fan a million times over because I am a fan. And I got to work on Creep Show, which was like
Mhm.
I think one of the first movies I rented, which like gives away my age, from Blockbuster one night with like my best like high school friends. We would always do like horror movie marathons, and like the original Creepshow movie was like very high up there for us in our like entry of like horror films. And getting to be on that show and to like have that energy, which is very fun and very silly and great, but also like people who love horror and love the genre, like hands down across the board. Like I felt like everyone who worked on the show was a fan too. So it was great. And it was like bell bottoms and polyester
Mhm.
and an afro wig. And it was just like all the things that if you think about, yes, I'm an actor, this is what I want to do. It was that. I mean, 2 days into shooting, they're like, by the way, we're giving you a sword and you're going to chop off someone's head. Like,
I
it's
was just gonna talk about, yes, that was so awesome the way you did that.
they're like, we're back there and they're like, yeah, that's exactly how you use this broadsword. And I was like, you're right. This is great. Like, you can't ask for like a lot of these experiences are like a lot of this is no's, and it's a lot of sort of like, okay, keep going. And then you get these experiences and they're like off the charts, like just are you kidding me? And it makes up for the moments where you're like, I'm on my path, right? And you're absolutely on your path because those are the moments, chopping someone's head off with a broadsword. Those are those are your yes moments.
How do you get through the no moments? The times you're getting the rejection and then you're just like, how do you keep going?
Yeah, I feel like actors get like a ton of external advice. We get a lot of the like this and that. There's the Instagram infographic. There's so many things that continually tell you, 80% of this is not up to you. It's just 20% that's like your part of this whole process. Auditioning is the job. All of that sounds like nonsense until you're in it, like until you're really in it. And it is like, I feel like 90% of my time is auditioning. That's just where I'm at in my personal career, where it's a lot of auditioning, and then the rest of the time, if you're so blessed, if that's like what comes down the road for you, you're on set, and that's amazing. But it is very funny to me that you hear all that advice, but it doesn't feel real. You start comparing yourself to your peers, and it feels like the brass ring is the booking, and it is, but it's also this like point where, you know, at least for me, it took a lot of time to get to this point where I'm like, yeah, okay, that audition was great. I loved it. I had a good time. All right, moving on.
Mhm.
There's another one that just came in. Let's keep it going. I do have the like, there are some jobs that are heartbreakers where it's like, I wanted that bad. I wanted it so
Mhm.
bad.
Yep.
And then it's just what's for you will not pass you by is what has just constantly been the thing that like keeps me pushing. Because the jobs that are like that have truly like, even I didn't realize it, but it was just us. Like I get there and I'm like, wow, this was life changing. Wow, it's where I was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep that at the forefront of my mind at least. And I love sports, and we were sort of talking about this before. Like, you don't win every game. You want to, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just don't. You're not going to. So for me, it's just sort of, did you give it your all? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. If you like came out there and like laid it all out on the field, then that's all you can ask for, because so much of this time will be auditioning. And I'm a nerd. So like all of my stuff goes into a spreadsheet. And so at the end of the year, I'm like, great, great, looking at these trends, and I'm like doing, the analytics, and you look at it and you're like, you did good. Like you
Yeah.
really did great. Like the dreams are happening. You got to go to a movie theater and see your head on like the screen, your big head, by the way. And it's just, you go, this everything you wanted, you dreamed of, it is happening. And so much I think of like the game of all of this is mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it can defeat you, because like the words, the talking, the external, the comparison, all of it, it's a lot of chatter, and it's not easy to say. Like I feel like it's very easy to be like, it's your mindset, get it right, get it right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whatever, there are definitely times where I'm like driving down the road going, what am I doing wrong? Like, but then it's just sort of like walking it back, shifting the perspective, and really understanding that like you gave it your all. That is all you have control over. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then backing up, backing away.
Yeah. Well, speaking of mindset, you definitely had a big win getting to be the audio narrator for somebody I'm a huge fan of, and I know you are too. But let's talk about, come on, doing the audio for Candace Parker's book, The Can Do
Yes.
Mindset. I want all the details on this one.
I listen, I love the W. The first jersey that I had was Lisa Leslie's, followed by Mia Hamm's. Like women's sports are such a passion for me in a way that I don't, I think people think like you're a theater nerd. This is the thing you've done your whole life. You dropped like the sports because you were like, I'm going to join speech team, and you lettered in to like the arts. But no, women's sports are just so incredibly important to me. My dad played college basketball. Like I've been in a gym in some capacity my entire life. And when so my voiceover agent sent over the audition for Candace's book, I was like, wow, okay, hold on. Everyone stop what you're doing. I have like, absolutely. And it was just such a, when it was like, it's your job and you get to do it, and you're sitting in the booth like getting to read back and forth all these incredible games, these moments in her life that were just sort of pivotal, that from the outside, as a fan, like no idea. It was it was like a sports fan's biggest dream. It was like getting
Yeah.
to like sit in the room with her and talk about it. And I went to one of the events and got to sort of do like a meet and greet and like meet with all these other people in the room, and like watching everyone just be so engrossed in just the nature of like the athlete's journey was such a joy. And her story is great. And in general, just sort of the moment that the WNBA is having has been so just so gratifying as a fan to get to see as well. When you sort of just see the growth and the amazing things. And like, I love Unrivaled. Like I'm the worst. Like right now it's, but I'm also, I feel very bad in saying this, but like people are like, what's your favorite team? And I'm like, I don't have one. I have like the largest roster of WNBA players who I adore and would be thrilled if, when they win a game. So for me, it's just, I love these women as athletes, and I love just the contribution to sports that they're making. And getting to narrate that book was just such a moment for me of like, everything is in alignment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is in alignment. It was
Talk,
great. Yeah.
talk about the process, because I know audiobooks are something that maybe people don't know a lot about the work that goes behind them. And you have done like 20 plus books at this point, and a real pro. So yeah, tell everybody a little bit what it takes to do an audiobook.
It's funny because a lot of people are like, you're just in there and you're reading, right? You're reading. That's easy. What an easy job. You just get to sit in the booth, a
Mhm.
microphone, and read. No, no. Again, it circles back to sort of my feeling on like, these are someone else's words. Like these people sat, they worked, they wrote something. What an incredible, incredible achievement. Their book is being published. it's an honor to narrate for them. That's just how I feel about the whole process from the jump. So when I get a book, before I even say yes, I read the book. For some of the authors that I've worked for in the past, I don't always read it first out of the gate when the offer comes through. I have a general sense of like, I love their work. Like, of course, I'll narrate for them. Um, but usually I'll read it once just to like get a feel of the story, read it again from a fan perspective, and then it's like a full research project. Especially like the last series that I'm doing has a lot of small town Louisiana stuff going on. So there's a lot of different like towns where pronunciation is so critical, and just getting to understand like where we are. And the whole charm of the book is also that atmosphere of you need to know New Orleans, you need to know all the surrounding area. And it's like it can become hours of research before you sit down to even get in that booth. And then by the time you get to the process of the booth, especially if you're looking at something that's got like, 14 to 16 characters, it's not just, our leading man here and our leading woman and heroes. Like that's not, that's not a story. Like so often when we read a book, so many people shift to the background of a book just because, again, they're not our main characters, but they're critical when it's an audiobook. And as someone who listens to audiobooks, also as a consumer, I'm not going to say consumer. I always hate when people are like, I consume art. I'm like, no, it's art. But as someone who enjoys audiobooks, it's funny because like people are so particular about their narrators. And I get it because I am too. And they'll just boot you. They're like, that's it. I can't even listen to this on 2 times speed. So giving it that attention to detail is so important. And just the shifting back and forth and in and out of characters and giving stories life is a lot of work. And it's always fascinating because the amount of time you spend in the booth is absolutely not how long that final runtime is. I'm spending days. You're definitely spending days listening, but that 5 hour, 8 hour runtime, I probably spent double that amount of time in the booth. So it's a lot of, it feels like more of like you're a research academic versus just going in there, throwing yourself in the chair and being like, all right, let's do this. It's a little bit more complicated.
How do you go about picking the voices for your various characters and making them different from each other? And then how do you keep that straight as you're like reading a whole book and having to bounce back and forth into the different characters?
Oh, that's a like fantastic question. Um, in reality, it's like I feel like the first time I ever go see like one of those book to movie adaptations, and you're like, wow, that's not what I pictured in my head. So it's always that whatever that first picture is what I pull for them. And I also, when I do that second and third read of the book, usually throughout the book, someone is describing most of these characters, whether it's their nickname was this because they had a raspy voice. Oh, there we go. There's your big ding, 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 ding. And that's their call, like that's their retrieval cue as to what voice they should have. Or she really hates this and that, or she's always been funny since we were kids. Someone says 15 chapters after that character was introduced, and so they're just like pulling all of that research is usually when I pull like their voices and just sort of how the environment is responding to them and all the other characters as well, and they sort of all gel together. I also am someone who sometimes I'm in the booth and I'm recording myself with a camera trying to sort of be like, okay, what did I sound like? Because you get very absorbed into the process. And I always feel like the last hour of any booth session is me going, do I read English? I think I do. I do. And having to convince myself. But yeah, it's sort of it's a muscle. And I can tell like if I take same thing as I feel like as an actor as well for film and TV is, when I've taken a beat or taken a break, it's always like, oh, shake the rust off. It's the same thing for being a narrator. If I haven't been in the booth for a minute, it takes a minute to sort of get into that energy. And it's also not the same as acting at all, because some of the freedom you have as an actor, you don't, because people are listening to this. And so, if you swallow a word, like, I don't know about any of the other audiobook listeners. Sometimes if I look away, or I like get mildly distracted, I have to go back and rewind and be like, what happened in that chapter? So much of the clarity is also important. So it's a much more, not restrictive, but a much more focused, to me, art form.
Are you doing most of it on your own, or are you going into a studio where you have some direction on it?
A lot of it is your own. A lot of it is like your creative choices. Go for it. Absolutely. Yes. I'm not one of those people who records at home. I love going to studio. I love a good booth session. I
Mhm.
love an engineer sitting there with you and sort of being like, wait, let's back it up. Let's do this. I like, I love the collaborative sort of nature of that 110%. But yeah, I enjoy that more. I know some people who really, really love to work from home, which I totally get. I love the booth. So,
Mhm. I'm
yeah.
with you. Let's talk about, you call yourself a book nerd and kind of how you got into all this and all the books you've read, about your other side project that you do.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I realized at some point I thought my friends were like, that's enough. Quit posting about books on your Instagram. Like, please, God, like talk about anything else. They were like, post more about your dog, something, anything. So I was like, let's put this all at ink, like somewhere else. And that's why I was like, I have a whole other side of things at Ink and Paper Soul where I can just blather about books. And it's been an interesting thought to be able to be like, no, this is just books. All I talk about is books and things that move me, and then critical sort of thought as to those books as well. Because and again, I realize the more I talk, that there's a giant nerd sitting in front of you. I missed English class. I missed that
Right.
sort of feeling of getting to talk about books
Mhm.
critically and thinking about them. And I don't always do that on my Instagram. Sometimes it's just like, I enjoyed this, read it, because I want more people to read it. And I do become the book evangelist of like, have you read this yet? Have you? Like, read it now. Um, but also it's nice to be able to throw longer thoughts up on the blog and just be like, you know what, I did not enjoy this and here's why. Or I really loved this and here is why. Which has been a nice space to be able to do that without, your friends' faces and their eyes glazing over because they're like, would you stop talking about this book that you've been talking about for 4 weeks? Knock it off. So it's nice to be able to send them there. And my friends have always been so lovely and been very like patient. Like, you know what, I'm going on vacation. You can recommend me some books now. And I'm like, yes. So they've all been great about that. But I feel like most of them are very relieved that now that they can it's all parceled into a separate space. But it's lovely. And I went to my first like book convention this past summer at the Black Romance Book Fest. And to see readers just like in that volume and how hungry for community and the spaces that they're going to for like conversation again and community, but also like recommendations. It just made it clear that like it's something that like if you love a book and you write about it and you put it out there are people who they want to see that. So it was, at least it was very affirming for me. So yeah.
What are a couple books that you would recommend to somebody right now?
Right now, I'm actually doing a reread of this is a children's book, everyone. But I think we should honor our inner child. I'm rereading The Phantom Tollbooth. It is incredible. Just there are some thoughts and there are some moments within that book that apply to your adult life and our response to curiosity, our intellect, our sense of adventure that I feel like we all need reminded of. It's funny because it's so much denser than I feel like some of the books are right now, and just the language is elevated in certain places where I feel like some people would be like, I don't know if kids can read this. And I'm like, they absolutely can. This is great. Like, have your kid pick it up. You read it too. It's great. I think a lot of young adult authors right now are fantastic. And I feel like we sometimes doubt where just like what people could read or what they would be interested in, and people are always hungry to know and learn more. And The Phantom Tollbooth to me is such an exploration of someone who was like, I'm bored, and the world going, no you're not, no you're not. There's so much to learn and see, and there's so much to escape into. And it's just, as a intellectually curious person, as a lover of words, as someone who also loved Alice in Wonderland as a kid, I think people will love Milo if you read The Phantom Tollbooth. I also just finished a new book. It's The School for Wayward Girls by Grady Nix, I believe. I might have his last name off. Very fun. And as we head into, spooky season in October, I
Mm.
always try to read some more horror. Um, I say fun when I should say disturbing and, and dark, but also just a really a fun book, and also fairly timely in terms of women and women's health and reproductive rights. It's a very, I love a book that is about one thing, but absolutely about something else entirely. And that's what the way that book is. And it was very enjoyable. And if you are ever curious about girls going through it, it's a great, I enjoyed it. I loved it. And it set off my October on just the right tone. So I loved it.
Okay. All right. Thanks for those suggestions. All right, to switch gears a little bit, I want to talk about something else I know is near and dear to your heart. And you do a lot of advocacy work. Can you talk about some of the organizations you are working with and that you really support?
Yeah. And, I hate to say like I personally am an advocate or I'm an activist because I feel like that's such a charged word. Because, if I woke up this morning and was like, am I doing enough? The answer would be no. No, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not that I'm like the harshest taskmaster or critic of myself. There's always something more that we can all be doing. One of my favorite quotes that is attributed to Muhammad Ali, so I'm gonna run with that. And if someone on the internet says that it's not, please tell me. Is that service is our rent for our room on earth, and I just think that is so true. So one of the things that's really important to me is I love the Innocence Project. It's to believe that like our justice system is infallible is just, we've seen historically that's not true. And I love the work that they do, constantly bringing stories of people who have been unfairly judged by the system that is supposed to keep us safe, keep us from harm. And just the work that they do is incredible. A long time ago, one of the first plays I did was a play that was based off of so many of those people who were incarcerated, their experiences and their stories and what got them to where they were, and how much of it was just a simple series of events that went out of control. And they were innocent, but they were they've been in prison. They spent their life in prison because of it. And that's sort of the stuff that, you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm so incredibly lucky that, this is circumstance of birth. That's why you are where you are a lot of the time. So for me, that the Innocence Project, the work they do is so important. The ACLU is very important to me. I also I have a very big thing about food insecurity. I don't think that any child should be going to school hungry. I went to a public school and I got to see people who had free lunch and free breakfast. And it was just so important to see the difference in people who were fed, going to class, able to be attentive, able to participate in this environment and give their all. So I enjoy getting to donate to people like the Atlanta Community Food Bank, to Gleaners in Indiana, which is like very important to me. We run the turkey trot with them to do our donations for them. And then also to do the Orange County Food Bank as well. Being from, I consider myself 50% Californian, 50% Hoosier. So a lot of the groups and organizations that I donate to and care about are always sort of like Orange County based and Indiana based as well. But those are some of my biggest things is I see a lot of miscarriage of justice, the importance of our freedom of speech. And then again, food insecurity is very important to me, and just sort of realizing, community care and mutual aid is so important. And it goes beyond sort of, can I do everything at once? No, obviously, no, you can't. We're not all going to be able to save every single person. We're not all Superman, but just the investment in your little current corner of the world is what's important. And I think having that empathy and walking around this world going, wait a minute, how can I do something for someone else? What can I care about? What do I want to talk about? Where do I have the space and availability, whether it's financially, whether it's my time, whether it's my voice, where can I give something? I think that's important for all of us to consider in a world where it feels like increasingly people are stepping away from those chances to be empathetic, or those chances to show like, hey, this is something I care about. And that is actually cooler to me than anything else. There's nothing I like less than a nonchalant person.
Mm-hmm.
Be chalant. Like, what do you care about? What is it that if you're walking down the street and you asked me and you stopped me, I could like talk for an hour and a half about, public policy, because I care about that. Like I said, I interned in DC, and getting to see like how that directly affects people changed me. So I think caring about that stuff is just I don't know. Like, want to talk about like what's cool? That's cool to me. Just giving a
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like you said, it's like every little bit helps too. It doesn't have to be a big financial donation to something. It's just
No.
like giving a little bit of yourself just can go a long way.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right.
Yeah. And I apologize, but just to I also think so often people are afraid to be the first person to say something, or they're afraid to be like, no, actually, like I care about that. And I think when you model it in your day-to-day life that like, nah, this isn't a big deal. I give a crap about that. It helps other people see that, it's totally okay to be like, I also care about this. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, you touched a little bit on there about your Hoosier background. So now we're going to dive into a little short little segments here on just some Tom Girl topics. So I want to hear about what you like as far as I know the sports fan stuff, but like sports, travel, your workout regime, fitness, fashion, just some little Tom Girl nuggets in here.
Absolutely. I'm a diehard Indianapolis Colts fan. It's a bit of a issue, like just a little bit of an issue. I just went to the Colts Rams game, which we lost. That's fine. I'm okay. We made up for it recently and had a wonderful game the other weekend. So we're fine. But one of the best things for me is you will find me hooting and hollering at least one game every season. Um, I have been a devoted Colts fan since I got to hold the Super Bowl trophy from when we won.
Oh, wait,
And
wait, time out. How?
we were at a game and I was sitting there and a friend was up in a suite. Also, Indianapolis is such a sports town. Like I feel like people do not like Indy is a sports.
Yeah.
So like when you go to a Colts game, it feels like the whole city is at the game. It feels like on a victory Monday, like the whole city is in victory mode. So we were at the game. Another friend was up in a suite and we went up and we said hello and they were talking and they were like, what's one thing you want to do? And I was like, I would like to stand in the middle of the field. And they were like, no, what? Name something else. And I was like, I'd like to hold our Super Bowl trophy. And they were like, we can make that happen. I thought they were joking, of course, at the time, and they were not. They were not joking. And literally, someone walked out, and it took like 20 minutes, and I like disappeared sort of like into the game. I'm like, oh, we're eating, we're enjoying this. And the next thing I know, the trophy like walks into the room, and I was like, are you kidding? Is this for me? And I think that picture was like my picture on social media for years. Like, to the point that at one point I was like, I probably should change this, but I can't. I just can't. It was a highlight for me. I got to go on the field at SoFi a couple what was it, 2 weeks ago, and it was like that was like close, but the Super Bowl trophy was like really my moment. But yeah, that's like it's something that I will never forget. But also, it was so like as being a girl who's a sports fan, and the amount of times people will like challenge you on your sports knowledge, they want to know I'm like, no, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Like football has been like a part of my life since every Sunday as a child. I can very sadly identify every network's sort of like NFL intro sound. And I love when people like do that trend. I'm like, this I could do in my sleep. Like this has been my entire life. So that's such a big thing to me. So I make it a point to go to the games. I'm superstitious. Like to be honest, the Colts like winning is like setting the tone for my Monday. It's setting the tone for my week all the time. But yeah, and then I grew up with a family who like sports and athletics were sort of important, and also from a dad who was like, if you can do it, I can do it, which is great, but also, led to me being in life the person who's like, you dare me? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
It's on.
Yeah, it's on. So somewhere like in my like early 20s, I was like, I want to be a 6 a.m. riser who weightlifts. I had not been a weightlift person. Like that was like not something I did. Changed my life. It was the greatest thing I've ever done. And now I love lifting. Like lifting is so critical to like my mental health. I'm like lift heavy, have a great week, have a great day. I love functional fitness in that way. If I can deadlift, I'm thrilled. Like I love working out that way. I just shifted into boxing after years of sort of avoiding it because I did martial arts as a kid and got a good swift kick in the head and was like, oh, maybe not. But then went back to boxing and I love it. I love the fact that like your brain needs to be alive the whole time. At least for me, I enjoy so much of just like the physicality of just like the full my brain is working, my body is working, and it's for me, it's like, okay, we didn't become an athlete, we didn't get to play in the WNBA, so like we're
Yeah.
gonna recreate that feeling, and that's something that boxing has done for me. So I've enjoyed coming back to that, and getting to sort of like reheat the like inner
Mm-hmm.
athlete in me that like sometimes gets a little dormant, because sometimes in the acting world, when someone shows up with like your comfort shoes because you had to wear heels for a scene, I'm like, okay. Yeah. But that's that. I really, that has been always important. I've been someone who has consistently sort of tried to find a physical outlet to complement a lot of the mental work that I do. I ran my 6th half marathon in June, which I'm not a fast runner,
Mm-hmm.
capacity. But the training is what appeals to me most. Just the fact that like you got to put in the work, or that race is going to be a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And I have run a race with significantly less training than I should have. And what you put into it is what you get out of it, for me as a runner. And just like sort of seeing that be mirrored in that experience is what has made those so great. And as we're talking right now, I'm like, should I sign up
Yes, you
that
should.
race? I'm like, yes, I should. You're right.
And yours, I want to talk real quick. So you've done the Nike women's one. So what was
Yeah.
it like just having a half with
Oh,
all women?
there is no better experience. It feels like I was in a sorority. So I like, listen, if you see there's a matching shirt and like a gaggle of girls who are going to giggle with you, done. Like, sign me up. Um, and the first, because I ran them in San Francisco quite often, and at the end of that, you used to get like a Tiffany's necklace from a San Francisco fireman. I was like, yeah, this is a race that like
Hello.
is okay with me. And just like racing through the city with all these women in the dark of the morning, and you're like, we can do anything. It was just, it's so motivating that by the time you get to like mile 10, you're like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm a little tired, but I am okay. And it's just, the energy is just unmatched. I've never had a bad time. I just ran the one recently in LA, and it was, very different because it was one at night, which like I love running at night, but sometimes, I don't feel safe to do that. And so to get to do that with a pack of women, of just like running through the streets of LA, was just an indescribable experience. And it was really, it was just this reminder of like, wow, we're all so cool. Wow, what made you? And I talked to so many people in our like corrals at the start of the race, and so many people who it was their first race. And I'm like, yeah, it's my 6th. And they're like, it's their first time out, and they're so excited, and the nerves are there, and the amount of people who would just stop out of nowhere and cheer you on,
Yeah.
just people you've never met before. It was incredible. And every race expo before for any of the Nike women's halves have been just some of the best experiences I've ever had. And I mentioned my sorority, and every single race I've run, my sorority sisters have always like been there. So it's always so funny, just to see the sort of like rah rah girl power vibe in
Yeah.
those events. That is just, it's unbeatable. And just the strength of just women who are like, I decided I wanted to run a half marathon. I'm like, you've
Mhm.
never run one before? They're like, no, but I trained and I'm here. And I'm like, you know what? Good for you. Me too. Let's do this. And
Yeah.
it's a vibe that is just, I want that for every single person who's like, can I run a race?
Mhm.
And the answer is yes, you can. And you
Mhm.
don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be like, oh my gosh, the beautiful Amazons who are like, we were turning around this last race, half of us were turning around because the course was very interesting. They're like turning around to go back because they're like nearly done with the race. And I'm like, I am only 6 miles in. Oh my God. Oh my God. But like they're incredible. And like the women with me, like who are like, we're cheering these women on who are about to be,
Yeah.
back at the starting line, sitting for probably quite a while as we finish. And it's just like this beautiful experience of seeing people of different abilities, different
Mhm.
strengths, different paces, different body types, just like conquer something that was important to them. And
Mhm.
that's why I love running. And I love the runner nod. And I feel like anyone else who
Yeah.
like runs is like, that's sort of like when you're out there and it's just like the little quick head nod. I'm like, yes, hey runner.
Mhm.
The other
Mhm.
day I saw a snake in Atlanta, and I was not prepared. And I did a full like scream, jump back. I hurdled in a way that like I've never hurdled. And the guy behind me was like, he thought I was losing my mind. But then he saw it, and then he's hurdling. Another runner behind me is like, snake, snake. And it was such a funny thing to have a bunch of people who are then now giggling about a snake, just in like a time where I don't always feel like I chat with people. I feel like sometimes when I'm out on a run, I chat with people. I had a girl the other day who like stopped me and was like, it's so hot. We can do this. And I was like, yes, we can. It's my long run day and I'm supposed to be putting in 8 miles. And I was about to cut it short, but you know what? Thank you, stranger. Like I enjoy the sort of de facto community you get from running too.
Yeah, completely agree. All right. Thank you for those Tom Girl tips. Oh, I do have one too for you. If you for another half to add to your list. I've not done the Nike women's one, so I'm going to do that. But you look up vacation races. They do halves in like all the national parks across the country, and gorgeous. And again, great community. You're just running in these. The last one I did was in Yosemite, and it was just like magnificent. And you're just like, yeah. So check that one out.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, back to you. Let's talk about, before I let you go here today, like I know you have good stuff coming up, current projects that you're working on. So just talk about things that you're working on and, where people can follow the rest of your journey as you continue on to do amazing things.
Yeah, I got to do like a brief little bit on a movie recently that was just so fun because I look book lover, and if it's a book film to screen adaptation, I'm like, yes, I'm in it, please, of course, please. And it's Friends and Lovers, and like just it's 2 parts, it'll air on Lifetime later this fall, and it's a 2-night event. And it was so fun. It was such a fun experience to get to work on this beloved book and then just make it real life on screen. And a lot of, honestly, like good time and good people. So I can't wait for people to see that. Just like, again, I think people will enjoy getting to see this beloved book become this movie. And 2 parts. Like, I always love when like you get a book adaptation and it's like not too abridged. It's like, here is all of it, that everything you loved, here it is now. So I can't wait for people to see that. And then I just finished working on It's Not Like That, which was again another one of those experiences where you don't know how right something is for you until you get there. And just the nicest group of folks. I can't wait for folks to see that. That'll be out later on. And I can't explain to people the skill of some of the kids on this show. Like, just some of the best actors I've ever seen in my life. Just their work is just phenomenal. And I was in awe every day. And I was like, these kids are so professional. I was just in awe of them. So I'm very excited for people to get to see the beautiful work of everyone on It's Not Like That as well. So it's one of those years where, as an actor, I've gotten to do some things that I never thought I'd have the opportunity to do, and get to take in parts of myself that I was like, oh, okay, Marissa, this is new. This is a brand new experience. And both of those projects are 2 things for me that were like, all right, little feather in your cap. This is exciting. I can't wait for people to see this. So I'm looking forward for both of those to come out.
Oh, good for you. We look forward to watching them too. Where can everybody follow you on social media and plug your blog as well?
Yeah. You can find me on social media as at Marissa Chanel Hampton. You can also find my book content at Ink and Paper Soul. It's inkandpapersoul.com for the blog. And then if you just want short thoughts, me blathering about books on Instagram, it's at Ink and Paper Soul. And that's where you can find me.
Marissa, thank you so much for taking the time today. It's just you're just so full of joy. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you today. I love it. We're gonna run one of these races together. One of these times. That'd be awesome.
Yes, I'm in.
Put it out there.
When you said that Yosemite, I was like, let me lace up my shoes.
Oh, so I will do that one again next year. So if you want to do that,
yeah, okay.
All right, guys. Thank you much. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like us, follow us everywhere at Tom Girl TV, and we'll see you here next time. Get out there.